We have Navy SEALs, we have the Delta Force, and now an Ebola unit. From fighting the enemy to fighting this disease, ABC2 News' Christian Schaefer with our finest leaving Aberdeen tonight for Liberia.
Yeah, that's right, Jamie. It's a different kind of enemy, one those soldiers won't be able to see. Still, finding Ebola is exactly what they've been asked to do. Instead of a war zone, they're headed to a hot zone.
We train very hard during the year, and we train at a high level to protect ourselves from whatever we are analyzing.
The first area medical laboratory from Aberdeen Proving Ground deploying to Liberia to set up a lab and test samples to determine whether patients have the deadly Ebola virus.
It necessitates a healthy respect, but we are trained to the hilt and going with a whole gamut of PPE that's designed to protect us.
PPE meaning personal protective equipment. The soldiers are bringing a lot of it.
We will be covered from head to toe. We are going to have a suit that's disposable, as well as a hood with a respirator that filters the air, which is also disposable.
Plus rubber gloves and boots. The mission, identify patients with Ebola so they can be isolated and treated to help stop the epidemic at its source.
We bring that mindset that we can do it into any situation.
Meanwhile, Governor O'Malley announced new policies for travelers coming to Maryland from the Ebola-stricken countries in West Africa.
With this new plan, screeners at airports of entry will provide names and contact information for all travelers from affected countries whose destination is Maryland.
Travelers from Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea will be monitored for 21 days. How closely they're monitored will depend on how much contact they've had with infected patients in West Africa.
They get in the airport in a kit, which includes a thermometer, instructions, a fever log. So even by the time they're passed on to us, they know that they'll be hearing from us, and that they know all the signs and symptoms and what to do.
Now, travelers who have had contact in Africa with a person who has Ebola will be considered high risk, and they will have to spend their 21-day monitoring period in the home of the person they're visiting. State officials say they do have the ability to implement a more strict quarantine, but after discussions with experts in infectious diseases, they feel this plan to monitor all the travelers will stop Ebola from spreading if an infected person does come here. Christian Schaefer, ABC2 News.
All right, thank you, Christian. All right,